Let's add some fishies to your zoo. This is our review of Ark Nova Marine Worlds.
Marine Worlds is an expansion to the zoo building game Ark Nova, and even though I lost really bad and ended up swimming with the fishes, I still enjoyed it.
There are some fun elements that this expansion adds that hardcore Ark Nova fans will really enjoy, but basic board gamers probably won't find it necessary. We'll tell you all about it after this quick how to play. Marine Worlds uses the same setup and rules as the base game of Ark Nova, except for the following differences.
There is a new association board with a new university that will give a player a permanent animal icon in their zoo.
There's an aquarium enclosure where you can put sea life that corresponds to zoo cards that feature marine animals.
There are also new final scoring cards and conservation project cards.
One of the most unique changes are asymmetric action cards that will give players abilities that only they can use while performing their actions. Before you go back to building your zoo, if you're enjoying our content, please like this video and subscribe to our channel.
All your likes and subscribes really help out our channel, so thank you.
I was really looking forward to this expansion when it was announced. I pre-ordered it on day one. I'm a huge fan of Ark Nova, and I really like the changes that this adds. However, because I really like Ark Nova, I think that I really like the changes, but if you haven't played it a lot, probably not as necessary for you to get.
I think when I saw and thought about this expansion, it was more of a, oh man, I really hope like it's stronger cards, so if you get it, then you can just do something cooler or better than people who like only have played the original game. Not that they're overpowered per se, but just that like maybe you just have a lot more fun doing what the new stuff does rather than what the old stuff does.
The biggest change that this makes to the actual game, aside from just adding more stuff, are the asymmetric action cards that you can get. So at the beginning of the game, you have your 5 actions that you can perform, and then you're gonna do a closed draft with the other players. You're gonna have 3 cards in your hand. You're gonna pick one, pass it, pick one, pass it, pick one, pass it. Then you have 3 action cards to choose from, and you get to choose 2 of them. They can't be the same action, obviously. You have to choose 2 different actions, and then you choose 2 of them. You can see up here in the top left of the card that those are special actions that only these cards can take. So only that player will be able to do those actions. And the actions are beneficial in that they really are helpful, but I didn't feel like any of them were super overpowering. There are a couple that are stronger than others, and some that you're looking at when you're drafting, you're like, I'm not gonna use that. Ooh, but I'll use that a lot. You can see that, but none of them are so overpowering that you feel like, oh, you got that card, well, you're gonna win already. So I like this change. This is the only change that I feel like even the casual player of Ark Nova would enjoy these. All the rest of it is just more stuff. This change is really the only dramatic change.
You know what, I second that, because as you have to sit there and choose, it's like, ooh, I would like to do this, ooh, but I would like to do that. So I'm sitting there looking at 3 and like, oh, these sound cool. But then at the end, I'm like, wait a minute, it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the game, no way was I like, oh, I'm glad I got here because of this one that I chose. It was just like a nice to have, but not like a, oh my God, like game changer.
This walked that fine line of having that asymmetric taste of it. Oh, like, oh, I get that little asymmetric taste, but not so much that people like me, where I'm like, I rather everyone starts on the same footing and we all just, let's see how we can do kind of a thing. I don't like, oh, you got a better power than I do. So I feel like this does a good job of giving people something different without it being so overpowering that it feels unfair.
Yeah, but then also not too insignificant that it's just like, oh, okay, like I get to take an extra breath this turn. Like, cool.
The other new items are zoo cards that have aquatic life, obviously. And I like some of the elements of the new cards because they have this new reef action on the animal cards. When you play them into your zoo, any reef action that you have, you will perform. And every time I add another reef action, I'll perform this again. And you can perform them in any order. So depending on like, oh, well, if I have this reef action, it gives me 2 cards, and this reef action lets me sell 2 cards, I can get the 2 and then sell it, and you can do it in any order you want. So I do like that. And the other thing that they add are these wave symbols. And when those are revealed from the deck, you then cycle through some of the face-up cards. So you'll take the first face-up card, discard it, slide everything down, and then draw a new one. So I like the way that that cycled through cards better. Some of the issues that you can have in playing the regular base game is, well, none of these cards are good. How can we cycle through them? Well, you got to keep breaking to get to the break to get rid of the 2. But this is something you can house rule. So maybe it's every sponsored card, you do the same kind of thing. You don't need to have these cards to implement that rule, which I think is a good rule. But it is fun to have if you do have the expansion.
You know, sometimes you make a decision of, okay, is it going to be a 3-card game where my max hand is 3, or is it going to be like a 5-card like hand game limit? When you're 5 and you're holding all these cards, then yeah, you want to cycle through real quick. So every time I saw those come up, I'm like, yes. However, if there's a card that you really want towards the end, then it's like, please don't, please don't wave. Please don't wave with the new cards when it breaks, because you want to get that chance to grab that card. But
The game also adds a new university that will let you choose an animal icon. So on the association board, there's going to be the one with the wild symbol. And then the first player to get that takes that off, but then they choose one of the universities with a single icon on it. So you can have the bird, or you can have the new fish icon, which is an octopus. And you can put that into your zoo, and then you'll have that permanent animal icon. And that's helpful when you have the conservation cards that require animal icons, or if you have an animal that requires to have a requirement in order to play. But if you don't have too many of the requirement cards, or you don't have the base conservation cards that require animal icons, then that university isn't always going to be as popular as the base 3 are. But it is an interesting change that they have.
you know, honestly, it's going to be a toss-up between the asymmetric cards and then the wave. I just really like how they both really contribute and add to it a little bit more, makes it a little bit more fun for me. So probably both of those together.
As a hardcore Ark Nova fan, I just like having more stuff, so I just really like having all the new stuff. But as the casual board gamer, definitely the asymmetric cards, that's the big change that's going to make this really impactful for most people. What did you not like about this?
I would say probably there wasn't more Marine World cards, because some of these abilities, it's really cool because, you know, when you grab more, you can sell them, kind of like how you were explaining. So most of my time was waiting for it to like cycle through like, oh, Marine World, and try and like snatch them up. But then obviously other people want them too. I just didn't see a lot of them go through, so I couldn't really capitalize on that.
There's really nothing here that I didn't like. I just wish that there was more. I mean, I know there's more stuff. I just wish the stuff did more. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just feel like I like it and I'm not against any of it. It's all great. I just feel like it could have been like even better, but maybe they have more expansions in mind. I don't know, but I just feel like it could have been even more.
Overall, in terms of production value and theming, I think the expansion really fits in with Ark Nova. I really and always like new, unique pieces that are added, even though it doesn't really like add anything. It's just like a display thing that it's fun to look at. The couple new mechanics that they added, I think that really did help. It wasn't a huge change, but I still liked playing with it as like that tiny little tweak that happened. But overall, I still enjoyed it, had fun. I'll probably give it like a 7.5, 8.
Overall, I really like this expansion. I gave the base game of Ark Nova a 9. I don't think that this elevates it that much more, and I don't like usually doing fractions or decimals of it, but I mean, I guess 9.1. It's a little bit better than the base game, but not that much that you would need this unless you're a real hardcore Ark Nova fan. So still a 9 overall. And that was our review of Ark Nova Marine Worlds.
What'd you think? Are you ready to see what this expansion will add to your game night? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you're enjoying our content, please like this video, subscribe to our channel.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
I'm Kenny, and go party like a board gamer.